What's up, everybody? Welcome to the October 14th, 2025 IndiView Weekly Market Update. We're on a Tuesday today, but I'm Jeremy Bryan, and this is powered by IndiWealth. So let's get going right into the hot button issues that we see. Now, again, we weren't here yesterday. I'll explain that here in a minute, but let's get into the remaining parts of the week and see what we got out there. Let's start here. Is that starting late last week and into today, we've been on a bit of a market roller coaster here. Most of this has come around commentary on China and potential another trade embargo restrictions, all the other words that are thrown around, higher levels of tariffs, trade tensions, I think is the best way you could say it. It's kind of came up, and then President Trump posted something that maybe quelled a little bit for a little while, and then it came back here a little bit, and now it's gone away again. It's a roller coaster we've been on here for a while. It just, really the bigger thing that I see here is that we have been in a pretty low level of volatility and market volatility for the better part of a couple months. So even though this market has started to do this bit of a roller coaster, how we measure volatility in the markets is something called VIX, which is the S&P 500 volatility indicator. So the VIX has risen to around 20, which is substantially higher than where it was over the past couple of months. What I will tell you is that is nowhere near a danger signal. If you go out 5 and 10 years on the volatility, we hit 20 all the time. This is not abnormal in volatility by any stretch of the imagination. And if you really want to look at it, you can go on Yahoo Finance or wherever you get economic charts, and you can look at the VIX chart and look at April. April hit almost 50, which was extraordinarily high. And again, that's when we introduced the tariffs and we had the 19% correction in the markets because we were worried about this stuff. We're a little worried about this stuff again, and that's why you've seen volatility rise. But this is not abnormal levels. And really, I don't think there's a ton to take from this roller coaster we've been on here a little bit right now, because earnings are literally just starting. I'll get into that here in a second. But there's not a ton to take away from. It's just we're experiencing a little bit greater than normal volatility. We've had a couple of really bad days. We've had a couple of sharp reversals. It's these kinds of things can happen from time to time. I don't take it as a larger signal of a lot out there right now. Two, I won't even spend a ton of time on this. The economic data is going to be light because the government's still shut down. Both sides seem pretty entrenched. I don't see any real approach to getting together and compromises and that kind of stuff right now. I think both sides are really kind of digging their heels in and seeing who gets blamed for it more, right? Well, I don't really care who gets blamed for it more. I do get a little worried that we're not going to pay some of our government officials and especially our military. We'll see how that plays out. Really, I just think this is kind of I hope it gets resolved sometime soon, but I have no barometer about when or if and how big of an impact it will be. Clearly, I don't think the markets are really trading on shutdown at all at this point. I think the volatility I talked about before, it's much more due to US-China than it is US government shutdown. But we'll see how long that lasts, but also just understanding where we are on an economic basis. We're kind of reliant on the government data to give us that. And so we have a little less information out there than we have in the past. So there will be some plug points and some public companies and some survey data that'll come out that'll give us a little bit of an assessment. And the biggest assessment from my side is what we're going to hear from companies coming up in the next couple of weeks, because we're right in earnings season. So I think that will be the approach that will probably get a better sense of what the overall economy is doing, is what are the companies saying. And that puts us right into point 3, is that earnings are here. We've had some financial company reports, JP Morgan, Citigroup, et cetera. Numbers look pretty good so far. I haven't scrubbed through them with a fine-tooth comb at this point right now to see if there's anything lurking underneath, but just general numbers tend to be that financials are relatively healthy. And financials are relatively healthy because people are loaning money and they're getting fees from the things they're doing. They're doing M&A, mergers and acquisitions are happening. And so they're putting those people together and they get fees for that. they're doing what financial companies do, and they're doing it in a way that's exceeding expectations right now from an earnings perspective. So the general consensus thus far from the financials earnings reports, and again, this is very early, is that numbers are pretty healthy among the constituents that make up a broad swath of the U.S. financials picture. So nothing to report from a danger signal at this point right now, but as we look through more, we'll figure out more next week. And if there's something, I'll let you know. But at this point right now, at first blush, it seems pretty good. And that brings us to number 4, which is Indigenous Peoples Day was yesterday. And that's why I'm bringing you the video on Tuesday instead of Monday. I was working, but I thought it would be better to do the video today. Indigenous people, when I was looking at the things I've seen on LinkedIn, the things I've seen on Facebook, social media, it's very positive, just very affirming around the community. And that's what I liked about it. It was celebrating the culture that maybe doesn't get a lot of publicity. They tend to be, there tends to be older, stereotypical type of things, and then not as much as part. So it was just nice to see the community be celebrated, especially among the community. And the Indian country community really kind of celebrates this as an exposure to the culture and the community that they've put together. So very cool, very happy to celebrate that. I'm glad it went well. And I look forward to doing it again next year. So that's all I have for this week. Tune in next week where we'll have probably more detail on what's going on in earnings picture. There'll be more companies that have reported. We'll get a better sense of the overall financials landscape and also some other industries out there as well. So I'll probably be pretty heavy on that, and we'll see what happens with regard to the government shutdown. But until next week, thank you very much and take care of yourselves. Goodbye.